In this lesson, we take a look at the image filter rollout. We know image sampling gives us the final color value for each pixel. Image filter, on the other hand, sharpens or blurs the transition between adjacent pixel colors. Sometimes when you have very fine details in your geometry or textures, you can use image filter to make that detail more obvious and prominent. Or if you are rendering an animation, for example, and you know that very fine detail might lead to artifacts and flickering in your animation, you can blur those details using image filters. Now, let's go to the V-Ray tab and open up our image filter rollout. First, you can enable and disable image filter, and on the right side, you can specify the filter type. As I mentioned, some of these filters tend to blur the final result and some of them tend to sharpen it. The default filter is V-Ray Lanczos filter, and it tends to blur the final results a bit. How much it blurs it depends on the size parameter down here. And other filter types also have some of this, size or something similar to control their function. Some of the filters like Area, Soften, Lanczos are blurring filter, and some like Catmull ROM and Mitchell Nethervalley are sharpening filters. Let's take a look at a few render. In case you want to work with the scene, I have both Irradiance map and Light Cache mode set to From File, and you can find the maps in the render output folder for this lesson. In the first render, image filtering is disabled. In the second render, V-Ray Lanczos filter was used. And as you can see, it's blurrier compared to our previous render. In the third render, I used Area filter and set the size to 3 to increase the blurring effect. And as you can see, it's quite more blurry compared to our previous renders. And finally, I used Catmull ROM, which is a sharpening filter. And if I compare it with when we had no image filter or the default Lanczos filter, you can see it's a lot sharper and makes the final details more prominent. You might think you can simply disable image filtering and blur or sharpen your final render in Photoshop, for example, but here the filter is applied on a sub-pixel level, and the result would be much more accurate compared to just adjusting your image in post. So that was a very quick lesson about image filtering. I will see you in the next lesson where we talk about render mask.